Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, watching the stars drift past through the main window. 3 months into their exploration mission in the Kepler system, his crew had found nothing but dead planets and empty space. The outer rim was supposed to hold secrets, but so far it had only offered silence. "Commander, you need to see this," called out Lisa Kane from her science station. Her voice carried an excitement that made Jake turn around immediately. Lisa was not the type to get excited over small discoveries. Jake walked over to her console and looked at the readings. The screen showed energy patterns unlike anything he had seen before. "What am I looking at, Lisa?" "Something big, sir. Really big. The sensors picked up artificial structures about 2 hours away at our current speed. The energy readings are off the charts, but they're old. Very old." Jake felt his heart rate increase. After months of finding nothing, this could be exactly what Earth Command had sent them to find. "Can you tell what it is?" Lisa shook her head. "Not from this distance. But whatever it is, it's not natural. The mathematical patterns in the energy signatures are too perfect. Someone built this. Ryan." "Change course toward those coordinates," Jake ordered his pilot. Ryan Brooks had been flying ships for 15 years and could navigate through an asteroid field blindfolded. If anyone could get them there safely, it was him. "Course laid in, Commander. 2 hours to arrival." Jake activated the ship's communication system. "All hands, this is the commander. We've discovered what appears to be an artificial structure in the outer system. All departments prepare for first contact protocols. This could be what we came here to find." The next 2 hours passed. Slowly, Jake found himself checking the time every few minutes. His crew moved with quiet efficiency, preparing equipment and running final checks on their systems. Everyone knew this moment could change everything. When they finally arrived, Jake could only stare in amazement. Floating in the void between 2 dead planets was a massive ring-shaped structure. It was easily 5 kilometers across, made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange crystalline formations covered its surface, glowing with soft blue and purple light. "My God," whispered Lisa. "Jake, this thing is ancient. Initial scans suggest it's at least 50,000 years old, maybe older." "Any signs of life?" Jake asked. "None. But the energy readings are incredible. This thing is still active after all this time. Whatever power source it uses, it's beyond anything we understand." Jake studied the structure through the main viewer. It looked like a gate or doorway, but a doorway to where? The center of the ring was completely dark, showing only empty space beyond. "Lisa, can you determine its purpose?" "Working on it, sir. The crystalline formations aren't natural. They're some kind of technology, but I can't figure out what they do. The patterns are incredibly complex. It's like they're designed to—" She paused, studying her readings more carefully. "Designed to what?" "To lock something. Commander, I think this is some kind of seal. Those crystals aren't just decorative. They're actively containing something." Before Jake could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Contact bearing 047, shouted Ryan from his station. "Multiple objects approaching. Fast." The main screen shifted to show 6 sleek metallic objects racing toward them. They moved with impossible speed and precision, clearly under intelligent control. "Defensive positions," Jake ordered, "but do not fire unless fired upon. We don't know what we're dealing with." The objects stopped just outside weapons range. They were clearly artificial, about the size of small fighters, but with no visible engines or weapons. They simply hovered in space, somehow maintaining perfect formation. "Are they scanning us?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. Very sophisticated scans. They're learning everything about our ship, our technology, probably even our biology." Suddenly, one of the objects projected a holographic display between itself and the Pathfinder. The display showed complex symbols and patterns that meant nothing to Jake, but the message was clear enough. The tone was definitely a warning. "They're telling us to leave," Lisa said, studying the patterns. "I can't translate the language, but the mathematical concepts are universal. They're saying this area is forbidden. Can we communicate back?" "I'm trying, sir. Transmitting basic mathematical sequences to show we're intelligent." The response was immediate and unmistakable. The objects moved closer, and energy readings spiked. They were powering weapons. "Commander, I strongly recommend we back away," said Ryan. "Those things could vaporize us before we could blink." Jake considered their options. They had traveled months to get here, and this was clearly the most important discovery in human history. But his crew's safety came first. "Take us back to minimum safe distance," he ordered, "but keep all sensors locked on that structure. I want every detail recorded." As the Pathfinder moved away, the Guardian objects followed for a short distance, then returned to their positions around the gate. They seemed content to let the humans observe from afar, but would clearly not allow them to approach. "Lisa, what? Have you learned?" "A lot, sir. This gate was definitely built by an advanced civilization, but it's been deliberately sealed. Those crystalline formations are incredibly sophisticated locks. Each one requires a specific harmonic frequency to unlock, and there are hundreds of them. Could we unlock it?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment. "Theoretically, yes. But it would take time and resources we don't have. Plus, whoever built those Guardian drones obviously doesn't want anyone getting close." Jake made his decision. "Prepare a full report for Earth Command. Include everything we've learned and all sensor data. Mark it Priority 1. "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "there's something else. I've been analyzing the energy patterns from the gate itself. Whatever is on the other side is trying to get out. The locks aren't just keeping us from going in. They're keeping something from coming through." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you certain?" "The energy flows are definitely coming. From the other side. Something over there is actively working against the seals. And, Commander, the energy signatures are enormous. Whatever it is, it's powerful enough to move planets." Jake looked at the ancient gate floating in the darkness. Humanity had always pushed forward into the unknown, driven by curiosity and the need to explore. But this felt different. This felt dangerous. "Send the report," he ordered. "Let Earth Command decide what to do next." As the Pathfinder prepared to return to Earth, Jake took one last look at the sealed gate. The crystalline formations pulsed with their soft light, holding back whatever lay beyond. For 50,000 years they had stood guard in the emptiness between dead worlds. But Jake knew his species well enough to know that humanity would be back. Humans had never been stopped by warnings or barriers. They had crossed oceans, climbed mountains, and reached for the stars despite every danger. This gate would be no different. The question was not whether humanity would try to open it. The question was what they would find on the other side, and whether they would be ready for whatever had been locked away for so long. As the stars shifted around them and the Pathfinder began its long journey home, Jake wrote his personal log entry. For the day, we have discovered something that challenges everything we thought we knew about the galaxy. An ancient gate, sealed by technology beyond our understanding, guarded by machines that have waited for millennia. Whatever civilization built this wanted to make sure it stayed closed. But they didn't know about humanity. We have never met a door we didn't try to open, a mountain we didn't try to climb, or a barrier we didn't try to cross. This gate represents the greatest challenge our species has ever faced. And knowing my people, I have no doubt we will find a way through. The Pathfinder disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying news that would change the course of human history. Behind them, the ancient gate continued its silent vigil, its crystalline locks pulsing with steady light, holding back secrets that had waited 50,000 years to be revealed. But their wait was almost over. Humanity was coming, and humanity never took no for an answer. 3 months after Commander Morrison's report reached Earth, the largest human fleet ever assembled arrived at the ancient gate. Admiral Helen Carter had spared no expense in putting together this expedition. The battlecruiser UES Defiance led, a formation of 12 ships, carrying the best scientists, engineers, and diplomats humanity could offer. Captain Amy Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Defiance, studying the massive ring structure through the main viewer. Even after reading Morrison's detailed reports, seeing the gate in person was overwhelming. The crystalline formations covering its surface pulsed with an inner light that seemed almost alive. "Captain," called out her communications officer, "we're receiving signals from multiple sources. We're not alone out here." Amy had expected this. Word of the gate's discovery had spread quickly through the galactic community, despite Earth's attempts to keep it secret. Put it on screen. The main viewer split into sections, showing 3 different alien fleets positioned around the gate. Amy recognized the sleek silver ships of the Altarian Confederacy and the bulky trading vessels of the Vegan Trade Union. The third fleet was harder to identify, consisting of dark ships that seemed to bend light around them. "The Void Runners," said Ambassador Tony Clark, joining Amy on the bridge. Tony had spent 20 years dealing with alien civilizations and was Earth's best hope for peaceful negotiations. "I never expected to see them here." "Can you establish contact with all 3 fleets?" Amy asked. "Already working on it, Captain. The Altarians are responding first." The screen showed the interior of an Altarian command ship. The alien leader stood nearly 8 feet tall, with gray skin and large black eyes. When he spoke, the universal translator converted his words into English. "I am Prime Seeker Zethkar of the Altarian fleet. Human vessel, you must not approach the sealed gate. Our oldest records speak of this place. It is called the Path of the Devourers in our ancient texts." Tony stepped forward. "Prime Seeker, I am Ambassador Clark representing the human expedition. We appreciate your concern, but we need to understand what we're dealing with here." "You do not understand," Zethkar replied, his voice carrying urgency. "Our ancestors helped seal this gate 20,000 years ago. They left warnings that were passed down through generations. What lies beyond must never be allowed to return." Before Tony could respond, another communication came through. This time it was from the Vegan Trade Union. The alien on screen looked like a large insect with multiple arms and compound eyes. "Greetings, humans. I am Trade Minister Silnara. We have no wish to interfere with your exploration, but our databases contain disturbing references to this location. Our merchants once traded with civilizations that spoke of something called the consuming dark. Entire star systems went silent after encountering whatever came through these gates." Amy felt a chill. 2 different alien species, with completely different cultures, both had warnings about the gate. "Minister Zilnara, do your records say what happened to the civilizations that opened these gates?" They simply vanished, Captain. No distress signals, no evidence of war or disaster. One day they were thriving civilizations. The next day their worlds were empty. The only survivors were those who fled far enough away. The third communication request came from the Void Runners. Amy had heard stories about this mysterious species but had never seen one. The being that appeared on screen was humanoid but seemed to be made of living shadow, with points of light where eyes should be. The Void Runner did not speak in words, but communicated through complex patterns of light that somehow conveyed meaning directly to the mind. The message was simple and terrifying. Some doors were closed for the protection of those outside, not those within. Tony looked troubled. Captain, that's 3 different species all warning us away from the gate. Maybe we should reconsider. Amy had her orders from Earth Command, but she also had responsibility for her crew. Get me Dr. Marcus Webb. I want to hear what our expert thinks. Dr. Webb appeared on the internal communication screen from his laboratory deep within the Defiance. Behind him, Amy could see dozens of computer displays showing analysis of the gate's structure. Captain, I've been studying the gate since we arrived. The alien warnings are definitely something to consider, but I think they might be based on incomplete information. Explain, Amy said. The gate isn't just a doorway, it's a test. Each of those crystalline formations is designed to evaluate whoever tries to open it. They're not just locks, they're examinations of intelligence, morality, and purpose. Tony frowned. A test for what? To determine if the opener is worthy of what lies beyond. Captain, I don't think the civilizations that vanished were destroyed by something coming through the gate. I think they failed the test and were found wanting. Amy considered this. What kind of test? The mathematical sequences required to unlock each crystal are incredibly complex. They test understanding of physics, philosophy, even ethics. It's as if whoever built this wanted to make sure only truly advanced civilizations could pass through. And the warnings from our alien friends? Dr. Webb looked uncertain. They might be based on fear rather than fact. If their ancestors tried to open the gate and failed, they would have experienced something terrifying. But that doesn't mean the gate itself is evil. Amy made her decision. Earth Command had been clear in their orders. Humanity needed to know what lay beyond the gate, regardless of alien fears and ancient warnings. Dr. Webb, begin your analysis of the locking mechanisms. I want to know exactly what it would take to open this gate. The alien fleets reacted immediately to the human ships moving closer to the gate. The Altarian vessels powered their weapons and moved into defensive positions. Prime Seeker Zethkar's voice came through the communication system with clear anger. Humans, you ignore our warnings at your own peril. If you attempt to open that gate, we will be forced to stop you. The Vegan ships quickly retreated to a safer distance, clearly wanting no part of any conflict. Trade Minister Zilnara sent a final message. We have warned you. What happens next is your responsibility. Most disturbing was the reaction of the Void Runners. Their ships simply vanished, disappearing as if they had never been there. Amy had the unsettling feeling they were still watching from somewhere beyond normal space. Dr. Webb's team worked for hours studying the gate's locking mechanisms. Chief Engineer Patricia Lee developed new equipment to analyze the crystalline formations, while linguist Dr. Susan Martinez tried to decode the symbols carved into the gate's metal surface. Captain, Dr. Webb reported, we've made significant progress. The locks are definitely designed to test the opener, but they're more complex than I first thought. Each crystal requires not just the right mathematical sequence, but the right intention behind it. What do you mean? The locks can somehow read the mind of whoever is trying to open them. They're not just testing knowledge, they're testing character. The opener has to demonstrate wisdom, compassion, and genuine desire to explore rather than conquer. Amy felt a surge of confidence. If the test was about character and intention, humanity had a good chance of passing. Humans had always been explorers first and conquerors second. How long would it take to unlock all the crystals? With our current equipment and understanding, maybe 6 weeks. But Captain, there's something else. The final lock is different from the others. It requires something I've never seen before. What? It needs to scan not just one mind, but the collective consciousness of an entire species. Every human in this fleet would need to participate, linking their thoughts and intentions to prove we act as one people with one purpose. Amy looked out at the alien fleets surrounding them. The Altarians were clearly preparing for battle, convinced that humanity was about to unleash something terrible. But Amy had faith in her species. Humans had always found a way to overcome impossible challenges. "Begin the unlocking sequence," she ordered, "and prepare to defend ourselves if necessary. We didn't come this far to turn back because of ancient fears." As the human fleet moved into position around the gate, Amy knew they were crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. Whatever lay beyond the sealed doorway had waited 50,000 years. Soon, humanity would discover whether they were worthy of the secrets hidden on the other side. The crystalline formations began to pulse more rapidly as Dr. Webb's team started their work. After millennia of silence, the ancient gate was finally beginning to respond to the touch of minds determined to unlock its mysteries. The real test was about to begin. Dr. Marcus Webb had not slept in 3 days. His eyes burned as he stared at the complex equations flowing across his computer screen. Each crystalline lock on the ancient gate required a different approach, and he was beginning to understand the true genius of whoever had built this test. "Dr. Martinez, what do you make of this symbol sequence?" Webb called to his linguist colleague. Susan Martinez looked up from her own workstation, where she had been trying to decode the carved markings on the gate itself. "It's not just a language, Marcus. These symbols represent concepts that don't exist in most cultures. This one here means something like wisdom through sacrifice, but there's no direct translation." Webb nodded grimly. The more they learned about the gate, the more complex it became. The builders had not just created a lock, they had created a comprehensive examination of an entire species' moral and intellectual development. Chief Engineer Patricia Lee approached their workstation, holding a strange device that hummed with energy. "I've managed to create a harmonic resonator that can match the frequencies needed for the first set of locks. But Marcus, some of these sequences are impossible." "What do you mean, impossible?" "The mathematical requirements for lock number 47 require calculations that would take our best computers years to solve. Unless—" Patricia paused, studying her readings more carefully. "Unless the lock itself is designed to help with the calculations once it recognizes genuine intent." Dr. Webb felt a spark of understanding. "That's it. The gate isn't just testing us, it's teaching us. Each lock we open successfully gives us the knowledge needed for the next one." Captain Amy Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system. "Dr. Webb, report to the bridge immediately. We have a situation." Webb hurried to the bridge to find Captain Rodriguez staring at the main screen with a worried expression. The Altarian fleet had moved much closer to the human ships, their weapons clearly powered and ready. "They've issued a final ultimatum," Amy explained. "Stop the unlocking process or they will open fire." Ambassador Tony Clark stood beside the captain looking frustrated. I've been trying to negotiate with Prime Seeker Zethkar for hours. He's convinced we're about to unleash something that will destroy the galaxy. On the screen, the tall Altarian leader appeared, his black eyes filled with determination. Captain Rodriguez, you have 1 hour to cease your activities and withdraw from the gate. Our ancestors died to seal this passage. We will not allow their sacrifice to be meaningless. Amy looked at Dr. Webb. How many locks have we opened so far? 73 out of 216. Each one gets more complex, but we're learning faster as we go. The gate is definitely helping us understand the process. How much more time do you need? Webb considered the question carefully. At our current rate, maybe 12 more hours for all the individual locks. But, Captain, the final lock is still a mystery. It requires something we've never attempted before. Amy made her decision. Continue the work. I'll handle the Altarians. She opened a channel to the alien fleet. Prime Seeker Zethkar, we appreciate your concerns, but we cannot turn back now. Humanity has never retreated from the unknown because of fear. This is not fear, human. This is wisdom learned through terrible loss. The beings beyond that gate consumed entire civilizations. They turned living worlds into empty husks. Tony stepped forward. Prime Seeker. Our analysis suggests that those civilizations failed a test. We believe we can succeed where others could not. Your arrogance will doom us all, Zethkar replied, then cut the communication. Amy turned to her tactical officer. Red alert. All ships prepare for possible combat, but do not fire unless fired upon. In his laboratory, Dr. Webb continued working on the gate's mysteries, trying to ignore the tension building around him. Lock after lock yielded to their growing understanding. Each success taught them more about the builder's intentions and the nature of the test they faced. Dr. Martinez made a breakthrough with the symbolic language. Marcus, I think I understand what the final lock requires. It's not just asking for unity of purpose among our species. It's asking for something deeper. What? The willingness to change, to grow beyond what we are now. The builders want to know if we're ready to evolve, not just as individuals, but as a species. Webb felt pieces falling into place in his mind. That's why the other civilizations failed. They approached the gate wanting to take something from what lay beyond. The builders are looking for species ready to give something in return. Give what? Our old limitations, our fears, our tendency to see the universe in terms of us versus them. Webb looked at the gate through the laboratory viewport. This isn't just a doorway to somewhere else. It's a transformation. An alarm suddenly blared through the ship. The Altarian fleet was moving into attack position. On the bridge, Captain Rodriguez watched as energy readings spiked from the alien weapons. Captain, her communications officer reported, the Altarians are charging their main guns. Estimated time to firing range 10 minutes. Amy considered her options. The human fleet was powerful, but the Altarians had been building warships for thousands of years. A direct fight would be costly for both sides. Open a channel to Admiral Carter on Earth, she ordered. The image of Admiral Helen Carter appeared on screen, her face serious. Captain Rodriguez, what's your status? Admiral, we're close to opening the gate, but the Altarians are threatening to attack. I need authorization to defend our mission. Admiral Carter was quiet for a long moment. Captain, the President and the Council have been debating this situation for hours. The decision is yours to make on site. But remember, we're not just representing Earth out there. We're representing the future of human exploration. Amy understood. Acknowledged, Admiral. We'll proceed with the mission. As the communication ended, Dr. Webb's voice came through from the laboratory. Captain, we've reached the final sequence. All the individual locks are open, but we need every human in the fleet to participate in the last step. Explain. The final lock requires a mental link between all members of our species present. It needs to scan our collective consciousness to determine if we're truly united in our purpose and ready for what comes next. Amy looked at the approaching Altarian ships. In 8 minutes, they would be in firing range. How long does the mental link take? Unknown, Captain. It could be minutes or hours. The gate will decide when it's learned enough about us. Amy made the hardest decision of her career. All ships, this is Captain Rodriguez. In 5 minutes, every human in this fleet will participate in a mental link to open the ancient gate. During this time, we will be vulnerable to attack, but this is what we came here to do. She paused, looking at her crew. Humanity has always pushed forward into the unknown. Today, we take the biggest step in our species' history. Whatever happens, we face it together. The next few minutes passed. Intense preparation. Throughout the human fleet, nearly 3,000 people prepared to link their minds in an unprecedented act of unity. Dr. Webb's team made final adjustments to the harmonic resonators that would facilitate the connection. With 2 minutes until the Altarians reached firing range, Amy gave the order. Begin the mental link. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Amy felt her consciousness expand beyond her body, connecting with every other human in the fleet. She could sense their thoughts, their fears, their hopes, their absolute determination to succeed. Through the collective mind of humanity, she felt the gate responding. The final crystalline lock began to dissolve, not with violence, but with something like joy. The gate recognized what it had been waiting for, a species ready to grow beyond its current limitations. But as the mental link deepened, Amy sensed something else. The gate was not just opening a doorway to another place. It was opening a pathway to transformation itself. Whatever lay beyond would change humanity forever. The crystalline formations covering the gate's surface began to fade, dissolving into streams of pure energy. The dark center of the ring began to glow with soft white light. After 50,000 years, the ancient seal was breaking, and just as the transformation began, the Altarian ships reached firing range, their weapons trained on the human fleet, locked in mental communion. Prime Seeker Zethkar faced his own impossible choice: fire on defenseless ships or watch humanity open a door that his people believed should never be opened. The gate pulsed with increasing energy as two civilizations stood on the edge of conflict, while humanity reached for a future that would change everything. The moment the gate fully opened, reality itself seemed to bend around the ancient structure. Captain Amy Rodriguez felt the mental link with her fellow humans intensify as brilliant white light poured from the center of the ring. Through the connection, she sensed awe and wonder from every member of the human fleet. What lay beyond the gate was not empty space or another star system. Instead, they saw a galaxy unlike anything in their universe. Stars burned with impossible colors, and space itself seemed alive with energy that danced between the worlds. Even through the small opening of the wormhole, they could detect thousands of signals indicating advanced civilizations. Captain, Dr. Webb's voice came through the communication system, though it sounded different, somehow enhanced by the mental link they all shared. The energy readings are incredible. Whatever is on the other side has technology that makes ours look primitive. But before Amy could respond, massive shapes began moving toward the gate from the other side. These were not ships in any normal sense. They appeared to be living creatures the size of asteroids, but clearly intelligent and purposeful in their movements. Through the mental link, Amy felt Dr. Martinez's excitement as the linguist detected communication attempts from these beings. They're trying to talk to us. The language is unlike anything I've ever encountered, but I think I can make out basic concepts. The first entity to approach the gate was beautiful in its strangeness. It looked like a whale made of crystalline material, with parts of its body glowing with the same energy that filled the space beyond. When it spoke, the words came not as sound but as pure meaning that flowed directly into their linked minds. "We are the architects," the being communicated. "We have waited so long for minds capable of understanding. You have passed the test that others could not." Amy tried to respond through the mental link, focusing her thoughts toward the entity. "Who are you? Why was your galaxy sealed away?" "We are builders of worlds and shapers of stars. Long ago, we traveled freely between galaxies, creating new worlds and helping younger species grow. But fear made others see us as threats. They called us devourers and convinced many species to help them seal us away." Through the connection, Amy felt the profound sadness of the architect. 50,000 years of isolation had not dimmed their desire to explore and create, but it had taught them patience. Another architect approached, this one resembling a living nebula with points of consciousness scattered throughout its form. "The species that sealed us believed we consumed worlds, but they misunderstood our purpose. We do not take, we give. We help civilizations reach their full potential." Dr. Webb's thoughts came through the link with scientific curiosity. What happened to the civilizations that tried to open the gates before us? "They failed the test because they approached with greed or fear," the first architect explained. "Some wanted to steal our technology. Others wanted to use us as weapons against their enemies. A few simply panicked when they realized the scope of what lay beyond. But you are different." "How are we different?" Amy asked. "You seek knowledge for the sake of growth, not conquest. Your species dreams of becoming more than it is, not of making others less than they are. This is why the gate opened for you." On the bridge of the Defiance, the tension was almost unbearable. The Altarian ships had reached firing position, but Prime Seeker Zethkar hesitated. Through his ship's sensors, he could see that the humans were not just opening a door, they were transforming. Energy from the gate was flowing into every human vessel, changing something fundamental about the people inside. Through the mental link, Amy suddenly became aware of the Altarian fleet preparing to fire. But instead of fear, she felt a strange calm. The connection with the architects had changed something in all of them. The Altarians are afraid, she realized, speaking through the mental link to all humans present. But their fear comes from incomplete knowledge. We need to show them what we've learned. The third architect to approach was the most alien yet, appearing as a geometric pattern that folded in and out of dimensions that human eyes could barely perceive. "The species you call Altarians were among those who helped seal us away. Their ancestors saw our power and could not imagine it being used for anything but destruction. Dr. Martinez had an idea that flowed through the mental link to everyone. Can we extend the connection to include the Altarians? Let them see what we see?" "It is possible," the first architect replied, but it requires their willing participation. Fear has closed their minds to new possibilities. Amy made a decision that surprised even herself. Through the ship's communication system, she contacted Prime Seeker Zethkar directly. Prime Seeker, I want to share something with you. We've learned that the beings beyond the gate are not destroyers. They're teachers and builders. Will you accept a temporary mental link so you can see the truth for yourself? On the Altarian command ship, Zethkar struggled with the decision. Everything his people believed told him that opening the gate was disaster. But the humans had not been destroyed as expected. Instead, they seemed enhanced, somehow more than they had been before. You ask me to lower our mental defenses and trust beings our ancestors died fighting, Zethkar replied. I ask you to have courage enough to learn the truth, Amy answered. Your ancestors sealed the gate based on fear and misunderstanding. Don't you want to know what really happened? Through the link, Amy felt the collective will of humanity focusing on this moment. 3,000 human minds reached out through space, offering connection and understanding to a species that had been their enemy minutes before. Slowly, cautiously, Zethkar opened his mind to the human mental link. The effect was immediate and profound. Through human consciousness, he touched the minds of the architects and saw their true nature. Impossible, he whispered. But even as he spoke, his ship's weapons powered down. They are not what we believed. They are... He paused, struggling to find words for what he experienced. They are gardeners of the cosmos. The revelation spread through the Altarian fleet as Zethkar shared his experience with his crew. The beings their ancestors had fought were not cosmic predators, but cosmic cultivators, helping species and civilizations reach their highest potential. One of the architects addressed Zethkar directly through the mental link. Your people were not wrong to fear us, Altarian. We were younger then, less wise. We tried to help too quickly, changed too much too fast. Some species we aided were not ready for the gifts we offered. The failure was ours as much as theirs. But you were sealed away for 50,000 years, Zethkar protested. Surely that was too harsh a punishment for good intentions. It taught us patience and wisdom, the architect replied. We learned to wait for species that were truly ready, not just technologically, but emotionally and spiritually. The humans have shown they possess this readiness. Dr. Webb detected massive energy buildup from beyond the gate. Captain, something big is happening on the other side. The wormhole is expanding. Through the link, they all felt the architect's excitement. We wish to return to this galaxy, but slowly and carefully. We offer partnership, not dominance. Together we can explore wonders beyond imagination. Amy felt the weight of decision. The architects were offering humanity a chance to become junior partners in reshaping the universe itself. The technology and knowledge they possessed could solve every human problem, eliminate poverty, disease, even death itself. But she also sensed something else through the mental link. The choice was not just about humanity. It was about the entire galaxy and how it would develop in the future. What about the other species? Amy asked. The Altarians, the vegans, all the civilizations in our galaxy? They too must be given the choice, the lead architect replied. But the transition must be gradual. Too much change too quickly destroyed civilizations in the past. You humans could serve as bridges, helping others understand and accept what we offer. Through the expanding mental link, Amy felt agreement from both humans and Altarians. Even Zethkar saw the wisdom in a careful approach. But as the wormhole continued to expand, Dr. Webb detected something troubling. "Captain, the gate's expansion is causing gravitational distortions. If it continues at this rate, it could destabilize the entire stellar region." Amy realized they faced a new crisis. The architects wanted to return, but their very presence threatened to destroy the space around the gate. The solution would require cooperation between species that had been enemies just hours before. The real test was just beginning. Captain Amy Rodriguez felt the gravitational distortions growing stronger with each passing minute. Through the mental link connecting humans and Altarians, she sensed the same concern from Prime Seeker Zethkar and his crew. The expanding wormhole was pulling asteroids from their orbits and creating dangerous space warps. "Dr. Webb," Amy called through the communication system, "how bad is the situation?" Webb's voice came back tense with worry. "Captain, if the gate continues expanding at this rate, the gravitational effects will reach the inner planets within 6 hours. We could be looking at the collapse of the entire star system." Through the mental link, Amy felt the architect's distress at this news. The lead architect, the crystalline whale-like being, communicated directly to her mind. "We did not foresee this consequence. Our eagerness to return has blinded us to the danger we pose. We must find another way," Amy thought quickly. Humanity had always been good at finding solutions when faced with impossible situations. What if you didn't all try to come through at once? Could smaller groups pass through safely? "It is possible," another architect replied, the one that looked like a living nebula. "But our people have waited 50,000 years for freedom. Asking them to continue waiting will be difficult." Prime Seeker Zethkar's thoughts joined the conversation. "There must be compromise. Perhaps limited passage while we help other species in the galaxy understand and accept your return." Amy felt a spark of inspiration. "That's it. We become intermediaries. The architects share their knowledge gradually, while we help other civilizations overcome their fears." Dr. Webb detected new movement beyond the gate. Hundreds of architect entities were gathering, all eager to pass through to freedom. Their combined presence was making the gravitational situation even worse. "Captain," Webb reported, "the expansion is accelerating. We need a solution now." Amy made a decision that would define humanity's future. She reached out through the mental link to address all the architects directly. "Listen to me. Your desire for freedom is understandable, but forcing your way through will destroy everything around the gate. That's not the action of the wise builders you claim to be." The architects paused, considering her words. Amy continued. "Humanity offers you something better than immediate freedom. We offer you partnership in healing the wounds that led to your imprisonment." The lead architect seemed intrigued. "Explain your proposal, human." "Small groups of your people come through the gate over time. Meanwhile, we work together to contact every civilization in the galaxy. We share your knowledge. Slowly, prove your peaceful intentions and help others overcome the fears that led to your imprisonment in the first place." Through the link, Amy felt resistance from some of the younger architects, those who had known only imprisonment and wanted immediate release. But the older, wiser entities saw the value in patience. "What you propose will take years, perhaps. Decades," one architect pointed out. "But it will work," Amy replied. "And when it's complete, you won't just have freedom. You'll have acceptance and cooperation from species across the galaxy." Zethkar added his support through the mental connection. "The human proposal has wisdom. My people's fears came from misunderstanding. Given time and proper introduction, we could learn to work together." The debate among the architects continued, but Amy could sense the tide turning toward acceptance of her plan. The gravitational distortions were still growing worse, though, and they needed an immediate solution. Dr. Webb had been working frantically at his station during the discussion. "Captain, I think I have a way to stabilize the gate. If the architects can help us modify the crystalline matrix, we can create a controlled opening that only allows passage for predetermined sizes and masses." "Can it be done quickly?" Amy asked. "With architect assistance, yes. But it means some of them will have to remain on the other side to operate the controls." The lead architect made the difficult decision. "We accept the human proposal. I will remain to operate the gate controls. 3 of our smallest members will come through as the first ambassadors." Amy felt relief wash through the mental link. But she also sensed something else, a feeling of rightness about the decision that seemed to come from the universe itself. Over the next hour, the combined efforts of human engineers, Altarian scientists, and architect builders created a modified gate system. The uncontrolled expansion stopped, replaced by a stable wormhole just large enough for careful passage. The first architect to come through was unlike the massive entities they had seen before. It appeared as a small cluster of living light, no bigger than a human shuttle. When it emerged into their galaxy, Amy felt its joy and wonder through the mental link. "It has been so long since we have seen these stars," the small architect communicated. "Your galaxy has grown more beautiful in our absence." The second architect resembled a flowering tree made of crystalline energy. As it passed through the gate, it immediately began scanning the local space with gentle curiosity rather than the aggressive probes they might have expected from conquerors. The third was the most human-like in form, though it glowed with soft, golden light. When it spoke, its voice carried warmth and genuine gratitude. "We thank you, humans and Altarians, for showing us a better path than force or haste. Together, we will heal old wounds and build new friendships." Admiral Helen Carter's voice came through from Earth, transmitted across the vast distance between star systems. "Captain Rodriguez, the Council is eager to hear your full report. Are we looking at first contact protocols or something more complex?" Amy smiled, feeling the mental link still connecting her to humans, Altarians, and now architects across space. "Admiral, we're looking at the beginning of a new age. Humanity has found its place as bridge builders between civilizations." Prime Seeker Zethkar addressed both Amy and Admiral Carter. "The Altarian Confederacy formally requests to join this alliance. Our fears were based on old pain, but these humans have shown us that understanding can overcome any barrier." Dr. Webb made another important discovery as he studied the stabilized gate. "Captain, the modifications we made aren't just for this gate. The architects have shared the plans for similar stabilization systems. There are other sealed gates throughout the galaxy, and now we can open them safely." The small golden architect added, "Each gate leads to different regions where our people wait. But more importantly, each one guards knowledge and technology that could benefit all civilizations. Together, we can unlock them one by one, always with wisdom and patience." Amy looked out at the stabilized gate, where the crystalline formations now pulsed with new patterns of light. The ancient seal was broken, but it had been replaced with something better, a controlled passage that represented cooperation rather than conquest. "Dr. Martinez," Amy called to her linguist, "I want you to work with our architect friends to create a universal translation system. If we're going to be meeting new civilizations, we need to communicate clearly." "Already working on it, Captain. The architect's understanding of consciousness makes translation much easier than we expected. As the hours passed, the partnership between humans, Altarians, and architects grew stronger. They began planning expeditions to other sealed gates, establishing protocols for contacting fearful civilizations, and developing ways to share architect knowledge without overwhelming younger species. The Vegan Trade Union, which had retreated, when the conflict began, sent a cautious message requesting information about trade opportunities with the new alliance. Even they were beginning to see possibilities rather than threats. Ambassador Tony Clark found himself coordinating the most complex diplomatic effort in galactic history. Captain, we're receiving contact requests from 17 different species. Word is spreading fast about what happened here. Amy felt a deep satisfaction through the mental link that still connected her to her crew and their new allies. Humanity had not just forced its way through a sealed gate. They had found a way to heal ancient wounds and bring together civilizations that had been separated by fear. The lead architect, still operating the gate controls from the other side, sent a final message through the wormhole. The first step is complete, but the journey has just begun. Together, we will explore wonders that none of our species could discover alone. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth with their new allies, Amy took one last look at the gate that had started it all. The crystalline formations still glowed with their ancient light, but now they represented hope rather than fear. Humanity had kept its promise to find a way through any barrier, but more importantly, they had proven that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in breaking down walls, but in building bridges across the spaces that divide civilizations. The gate was open, and the galaxy would never be the same.